Daeodon is an extinct genus of entelodont even-toed ungulates that inhabited North America about 23 to 20 million years ago during the latest Oligocene and earliest Miocene epochs of the Paleogene Period. The type species, Daeodon shoshonensis, was initially described based on a holotype that raises significant doubts. While some researchers merge it with Dionysus hollandi and various other species, the absence of definitive diagnostic evidence casts doubt on such assertions. The genus Daeodon was erected by the American paleontologist Edward Drinker Cope in 1878. He classified it as perissodactyl and thought that it was closely related to Minodus. This classification persisted until the description of Archaeotherium calkinsey in 1905, a very similar and much more complete animal from the same rocks, which was promptly assigned as a species of Dinohyus by Peterson in 1909. This led to Daeodon's reclassification as a member of the family Entelodontidae. The exact relationship between Daeodon and other entelodonts are not well understood. Some authors consider the greater morphological similarity of Daeodon to Paraentelodon rather than to earlier North American entelodonts, like Archaeotherium, as evidence for Daeodon being a descendant from a late Oligocene immigration of large Asian entelodonts to North America. However, the existence of distant specimens of Archaeotherium showing characters reminiscent of those present in both Paraentelodon and Daeodon raises the possibility of both genera actually descending from a North American common ancestor. Although not specified in Cope's original description, the name Daeodon comes from the Greek words daeos, meaning hostile or dreadful, and odon, meaning teeth. Description: Daeodon shoshonensis is the largest known entelodont. Known adult individuals were about 1.77 meters, or 5.8 feet tall at the shoulders, and had skulls about 90 centimeters, or 3 feet long. Some estimations suggest it reached 2.1 to 2.4 meters, or 6.9 to 7.9 feet tall at the shoulder, while others propose even larger proportions, such as the length of up to 3.4 meters, or 11.2 feet. The Daeodon also likely weighed around 750 to 900 kilograms, or 1,653 to 1,984 pounds. It's differentiated from other entelodonts by a suite of unique dental characters. The shape and relatively small size of the cheekbone flanges of its skull compared to those of Archaeotherium, and the small size of its chin tubercle, as well as features of its carpus and tarsus, and the fusion of the bones of the lower leg. Like other entelodonts, its limbs were long and slender, with the bones of the foreleg fused together and with only 2 toes on each foot. It also has a relatively light constructed neck for the size of its head, whose weight was mostly supported by muscles and tendons attached to the tall spines of the thoracic vertebrae, similar to those of modern-day bison and white rhinoceros. Although the skull was remarkably large, the brain case was quite small, and the cerebrum was underdeveloped. On the other hand, the paranasal sinuses and the olfactory bulbs were large, indicating that the Daeodon had a keen sense of smell. Since the eye sockets are oriented forward, the Daeodon likely had binocular vision, a common trait in predatory species. What is most remarkable about the creature was its chompers. As an omnivore, it had a wide array of teeth. Each row of teeth contained 3 pairs of incisors, a pair of razor-sharp canines, 4 pairs of pointed premolars, and 3 pairs of flat molars. Not only this, but Daeodon could open their mouths freakishly wide, perfect for capturing large prey. The movement patterns of Daeodon, like many extinct creatures, can only be inferred from their skeletal structure, biomechanics, and comparison with modern animals. It is likely that Daeodon possessed a versatile mode of locomotion, capable of both steady walking and possibly bursts of speed when needed for predation or evasion. However, without direct observation, The exact details of its movement remain speculative. Habitat. Daeodon had a wide range in North America, with many fossils found in Agate fossil beds, representing an environment in a transition period between dental forests and expansive prairie, likely a major cause of their extinction in the early Miocene. It evolved to thrive in grassland environments, developing a more streamlined body structure compared to earlier entelodonts, such as Archaeotherium. This adaptation involved the complete loss of dew claws, fusion of metacarpals closer to the body, and shoulder musculature resembling that of a bison. The Agate Springs bone bed was a floodplain environment with wet and dry seasons. Daeodon shared this landscape with small gazelle-like camels Stenomylus, the large, browsing Chalicotherium. Several species of predatory coyote to wolf-sized amphicyonids that lived in packs, land beavers, Paleocastor, that filled the ecological niche of modern prairie dogs, and thousands of small, herd-living rhinoceros. The rhinos suffered massive periodic die-offs in the dry season, but Daeodon fossils are rare, which suggests they neither were social animals nor especially attracted to carrion. During the Oligocene, the world registered a major cooling event, and the best climate records come from North America. This territory registered a temperature drop of 7 to 11 degrees Celsius, or 13 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. During the late Oligocene, however, the world started warming up, and with the Oligocene-Miocene transition came lower temperatures, eventually replaced by warmer ones approximately 16 million years ago. At the time, North America switched from dense forests to patchy scrublands with riparian forests. Diet and behavior. Daeodon was omnivorous like all other entelodonts. Enamel patterns suggest eating of nuts, roots, and vines, as well as meat and bones. The superficial similarity to peccaries, hippos, and bears implies a wide range in terms of what plants Daeodon may have been eating. The dry seasons of North America at the time could get very harsh, so they may have supplemented their water intake by eating grapevines. The extent of its carnivory is debated, but tooth wear suggests they specialized in crushing bone and ripping meat, and bite marks on Chalicotherium bones suggest they either hunted or scavenged large herbivores. In 2001, it was proposed that its head was far too heavy to be effective in taking down large prey, so it must have relied exclusively on scavenging. But its bison-like adaptations for running, the stereoscopic vision characteristic of predators, and evidence of predation in entelodonts calls this interpretation into question. The uncertainty of their diets suggests they were likely opportunistic omnivores, similar to bears, eating whatever they needed depending on the circumstance. Entelodonts partook in intraspecific face biting, known from tooth marks on their skulls. Males would fight for dominance, possibly using their mandibular tubercles as protection in addition to their function as muscle attachments. Sexual dimorphism of the jugal protections exist in Archaeotherium, and with a smaller Daeodon sample size, such dimorphism can't be ruled out for Daeodon. If exhibiting sexual dimorphism, the enlarged jugals probably served as a display feature, supporting sizable preorbital glands akin to those found in forest hogs, facilitating chemical communication. Predators. Larger carnivores likely posed a threat to Daeodon, although, due to their size, it probably wasn't as significant as the threat of decreasing food supply, changing habitat, and competition for resources and mates from other Daeodons. Scientists think that the large cheek muscles on the male specimens show that they engaged in fights for mates by either posturing or actually physically fighting with each other. These aspects are not present in the female specimens. Bear dogs were some of the largest carnivores during this period. They were similar to wolves or hyenas and even lived in packs. While they were not as large as the Daeodon, they could have eaten young, old, or sick Daeodon that were weak. Unlike other prehistoric animals like dinosaurs, Daeodon was a mammal and likely gave birth to live young. When they were young, Daeodon were particularly vulnerable to predators. They did not have the same strong musculature or imposing presence that the adults had. Life cycle. It is generally believed that even-toed ungulates have long gestation periods, varying from 4 to 15 months, depending on the species. The litter size is typically 1 to 2 babies, although a pig's litter size can reach 10 newborns. Even-toed ungulate newborns are precochial, meaning they are relatively mature when born and do not require much adult help. They are born with their eyes open and their bodies already covered in hair, and as they grow older, coat patterns may change slightly. Some newborns remain alongside their parents for the first few weeks of their lives, while others do not stay nearby for more than a few hours or days. The jugal projections of Archaeotherium, another entelodont, have been confirmed to be sexually dimorphic. They were larger in males than in females. Moreover, these projections are often compared to horns and antlers in modern artiodactyls, used for display or intimidation. Since the Daeodon had no such structures, these bones may have served the same purpose, so scientists are positive about this possibility. Furthermore, modern mammals have a life expectancy of approximately 20 to 30 years, and some can live for 40 to 50 years. However, the lifespan of the Daeodon remains unknown. Although the social structures of entelodonts is not well understood, it is possible that they lived in small groups or family units. This social structure could have provided protection from predators and facilitated cooperation in securing food resources. Feeding strategies of hell pigs. Researchers have identified meat caches in Wyoming attributed to hell pigs based on bite marks consistent with their jaw measurements. The evidence suggests that these creatures would behead their prey. They would then delve into the meatier, articulated rear halves of their prey. They would then stockpile articulated thoracic leftovers in these caches for later. So not only are these hell pigs big and scary with gaping wide mouths, but they were also quite strategic from the sounds of it. These prehistoric eras left evidence of plenty of other terrifying beasts that stalked the floodplains of Nebraska or the steppe of Mongolia too. For example, living at the same time as entelodonts were nimravid saber-tooths and the dreaded bear dogs, also known as amphicyonids. These apex predators defined food chains and broader ecosystems. Why did hell pigs go extinct? The exact cause of the extinction of entelodonts remains unclear, but it is likely due to a combination of factors that affected their survival during the late Oligocene epoch, around 16 million years ago. Some possible factors contributing to their extinction include climate change. The Earth experienced significant climatic changes during the Oligocene epoch. With global temperatures cooling and the climate becoming increasingly arid, these changes likely led to the decline of lush forests and the expansion of grasslands. This could have reduced the availability of food and water resources for entelodonts, making it more difficult for them to survive. Shifting ecosystems. As the climate changed, so too did the ecosystems that entelodonts inhabited. The expansion of grasslands and the decline of forests could have affected the distribution of plant and animal species within these ecosystems. This would have led to changes in the types of food available for entelodonts and increasing competition for resources. Competition. The evolution of new, more specialized predators, such as Hyaenodon and other creodonts, may have increased competition for food resources. These new predators would have been more efficient at scavenging or hunting, ultimately outcompeting entelodonts for the same food sources. Ecological specialization. Entelodonts were large, bulky animals with a diverse diet. As ecosystems changed and new predators evolved, entelodonts may have struggled to adapt to these new conditions. Their large size and generalist feeding habits could have put them at a disadvantage compared to smaller, more specialized competitors that were better able to exploit specific food resources. Cumulative effects. The combination of these factors, Climate change, shifting ecosystems, increased competition, and ecological specialization may have contributed to the decline and eventual extinction of entelodonts. As conditions became increasingly unfavorable, entelodont populations may have dwindled, reducing their genetic diversity and making it more difficult for them to adapt to the changing environment. Archaeotherium. Archaeotherium, meaning ancient beast, is an extinct genus of entelodont artiodactyl endemic to North America during the Eocene and Oligocene epochs, 35 to 28 million years ago. Existing for approximately 9.1 million years, Archaeotherium fossils are most commonly in the wide river formation of the Great Plains, but it has also been found in the John Day Basin of Oregon and the Trans-Pecos area of Texas. Archaeotherium was named by Joseph Leidy in 1850, and the type is Archaeotherium mortoni. It was synonymized subjectively with entelodon by Leidy, 1853, and synonymized subjectively with Elotherium in 1857. Archaeotherium, along with all other entelodontiae, is an artiodactyl whose exact taxonomic position has been disputed, but taxonomists agree the group lies between the Suina, pigs and peccaries, and the Anthracotheres, hippopotamuses, and whales. Archaeotherium was about 1.2 meters or 3 feet 11 inches tall at the shoulder and around 2 meters or 6 feet 7 inches long. Adults weighed 150 to 250 kilograms or 350 to 530 pounds. The largest specimens, though much less common, which had been described under the name Megacoreus, had skulls up to 80 centimeters or 31 inches long, stood about 1.5 to 1.6 meters tall at the shoulder, and weighed up to 500 to 600 kilograms, or 1,100 to 1,300 pounds. There is no sign of sexual dimorphism in the canine teeth. Females and males may have been similar in size. Though Archaeotherium is one of the best preserved of all entelodonts, skulls of entelodonts are far more commonly preserved than full skeletons, and the large size of the head, in proportion to the body, makes it difficult to accurately estimate the animal's living size and weight. In life, Archaeotherium probably somewhat resembled a cow-sized peccary with a longer face, humped shoulders, wide cheekbones, and bosses on the face, similar to male warthogs, but without a pig-like nasal disc. Paraentelodon. Paraentelodon is an extinct entelodont from the late Oligocene and Oligocene-Miocene boundary of Asia. The fossils of the type species Paraentelodon intermedium are found in Georgia, Kazakhstan, and China. An intermediate species represents in Bukti Hills, which is the late Oligocene of Pakistan. Paraentelodon was named by L.K. Gabriel in 1964, based on molars and canine teeth that were found in Oligocene sites of Benara, Georgia. It was assigned to Entelodontidae by Carroll in 1988. Although Gabriel did not explain the etymology, the name Paraentelodon is derived from the Greek para, meaning beside or near, enteles, complete or perfect, and odon, tooth. One of the largest entelodonts, it had much more massive teeth than those of Entelodon. The closest relative of Paraentelodon intermedium is probably Elodon transylvanicus from Oligocene of Romania because of the similarities of knolls on their molars. In spite of this, Paraentelodon has more common features with Asian and North American entelodonts. It was similar in size and form to the giant entelodont, Daeodon, of early Miocene of North America. The structure of their teeth is visibly similar, but Paraentelodon has larger premolars, less reduction of posterior group of third knoll, and a smaller collar of cheek teeth. Some researchers suggest that it was either ancestral to or shared an ancestor with Daeodon during a late Oligocene Beringian immigration. As with other entelodonts, it was an omnivore that had large teeth that enabled it to crush bone and dig for tubers, like its North American relatives. Despite their intimidating appearance and common association with pigs due to their omnivorous habits, entelodonts like Daeodon are not direct ancestors of modern pigs or any other modern mammals. They belong to a group called artiodactyls, which includes pigs, hippos, deer, and whales, but they're not direct ancestors of any modern species.